So, Marion, we're talking about Psalm 103, which your church is going to be working on this year, part of the production that we did yesterday. And in thinking about the worship music that most of us are accustomed to today, when we go to church on Sundays, the songs we're singing or that we're listening to, if there's a band up front that's playing, there's a lot of praising the Lord. But there's a simplicity and a slightly different spirit that I detect in this psalm when I hold it up against the contemporary worship music that a lot of Protestants are using in their churches today. What is it that stands out to you when the psalmist says, "Bless the Lord, my soul, all my inmost being, praise his holy name," or "bless his holy name"? I'm going between different translations. What stands out to you as being of a different spirit than some of the worship music that most of us are used to today?
Well, I love Psalm 103, and particularly how it starts off. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. And I use that often to call myself to worship. And as I've studied this psalm, it is really calling the entirety of man. Emotions, yes. But mind, yes. Volition, yes. It is the entirety of man that is being called into this blessing of praising God and ascribing to him the glory that is due his name. And as we consider, it is not just the emotions that are being affected, but it is the entirety of man and all of his being that we are to enjoin into in our worship of God. In fact, I would say that if we have any of those three parts missing in our worship of God, we're not truly worshiping him. And so this is the entirety of the being. And yet when we see what is the theme, and we see these great tender mercies of God, even the forgiveness of sins and the pardon and the forgiveness of, as far as the east is from the west, so far as he removed our transgressions from us. And the beauty of what he has done gives us the reason all the more. And it's not something that we have to think about, the reason. It is something that as we are moved in the depths of our being by the grace of God and the mercy he's extended to us, it is a well in our heart that spills over into how the psalmist, I believe, reflects upon this. Bless the Lord, O my soul. How can he not do that when he truly understands what God has done for him and continues to do for him?
So I think a lot of musicians in a contemporary worship context feel a tremendous burden, and I'm burdened for them, as they have a job to do, which is to get us into an emotional state where our feelings are in alignment with the worship of God. And music does have an ability to align our feelings. It certainly does. But you said something very interesting just now, which is that the worship of God and the feelings and the right action and the right thoughts are something that come up from within us. So do you have a word of encouragement for musicians who maybe feel burdened to pour that experience out over a congregation full of people on a Sunday morning, who feel like it's their job to gin up that emotion, in 1,000 people who are out there coming, expecting and really truly expecting to feel a certain way?
Well, it's a big topic because when we consider the Psalms, what feelings are they going to try to generate? And usually that's a fairly monolithic view, that it needs to be something upbeat and encouraging. But a lot of the Psalms that we are told to sing have laments to them or some heaviness about them, and yet still transcends through up into the praise of God in the midst of those things. But musicians need to remember, even from verse 14, "For he knoweth our frame, and he remembereth that we're but dust." And as we think about what God has done in man, as the other Psalms would say, he has put a new song in our heart. And it's from the heart are the issues of life. It's from the heart that the mouth speaks. It's from the heart that the mouth sings. And it is that from where the true worship music comes. As God has changed our heart and he has regenerated us and poured his grace into our lives, it is truly the fountainhead from which all of our praise flows. Praise can never flow the other way. So it's not what goes into man which defiles the man, it's what comes out of him that defiles the man. And the same would be true of our music. So you can't just baptize someone in a particular feeling of music and then expecting that to engage his worship. In fact, that could actually be very dangerous. Yes, music can affect us. And if we really want people to have this great emotional experience, we know how to get the soprano to end on the high note.
Yeah, it's a technique now by this point.
There is technique to it. But if we
And there's nothing wrong with technique. We're not opposed to musical techniques.
Not at all. But it needs to be in the proper framework of from the inside out rather than the outside in. And so I think as we reflect upon what reason does the psalmist have to praise God, that's coming all from within the heart, expressing itself, and it finds its outward adornment in the praise and in music, in a form of a song that is cannot be contained, if you will.